Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And a Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 603, Mr. Somich.
Little closing weekend, Del Mar, huzzah!
For some reason, so I was used to StreamYard just playing that, I hit go live now on the program and it just automatically starts it and everything. In my head, I was like, oh yeah, it's just going to put us in and be ready. No, forgot that stuff, but that's okay. The last trip to Del Mar until at least Breeders' Cup time, Mike.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of sad. It hasn't been the best Del Mar meet for me. I've had a couple pick fives, but nothing that was really splashy. So it'd be nice to get a big number home here headed into the weekend.
We've got the late pick five Saturday. Sunday is closing day, but we looked at the two cards. We both thought this was probably the better of the two for the show. Not surprised. The grade one races for the 2-year-olds, Saturday, the debutants, Sunday, the futurity. They're both not in the late pick five because of Bob Baffert. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. The pick six sequence starts out with one of those two races, but the late pick five, they decided to leave them out, which I think was a good decision. Like, it's more fun when you have the opportunity to try and find prices and not be like, okay, am I going to play this Baffert or that Baffert? And the likelihood that either the one Explorer or the two Himika wins the sixth race at Del Mar is fairly high. I'll put it that way. So having this start out with the juvenile turf filly and being able to go from there, I think is a good way to set up the late pick five here on Saturday.
And some great stakes racing. We've got the grade two John C. Maybe is going to be a part of it. It kicks off the Del Mar Juvenile Fillies Turf. 3 of the 5 races on the lawn. And listen, Kentucky Downs was a possibility until I saw that there might be some inclement weather. Some trainers are not even shipping their horses in because of the expected rain.
Yeah, Bombs had a monster day at Kentucky Downs yesterday. And so I would love to go to Kentucky Downs. But yeah, we like there's tournaments this weekend that I'm in. So there's a million tournament over on Twin Spires, and then there's a big tournament on Express Bet called King of the Turf at Kentucky Downs with Dr. Tang, the rating King of the Turf. They give you a belt if you win it. So he is the current belt holder. We don't know if those are actually going to go. So they're considering canceling the cards, moving them out. So we'll see what happens with Kentucky Downs over the weekend. But it definitely makes it a little more difficult to decide to go there when we have no clue how that turf is going to play if it catches rain, because it has been all about speed through this early part of the meet. And B, we don't even know if they're going to run the races. So I would love to do some Kentucky Downs, but there's a couple mitigating factors that are keeping us from going to that Kentucky turf track.
Excuse the baby sneezes. She told me she's not going to be nearly as fussy as she was last week. So Chloe, joining us for another episode of the Magic Mike Show. We're happy that you're joining us as well. It's the late pick five from Del Mar, Saturday, September 6th on closing day. Let's get into it, buddy. Riders up. You're right, Shotty. The fantasy belt is cooler. All right, the late pick five at Del Mar, Saturday, September 6th, kicks off with race 7, the Del Mar Juvenile Fillies Turf Stakes. And we had 3 late nominations to this race, or late entries, rather. So a full field of 13 2-year-old fillies. Very contentious race. Looked wide open on paper. Where are you going on top?
Yeah, look, this is one of those fun races because, as someone who likes to look at time form, likes to look at buyer numbers, 2-year-olds in those numbers can change drastically from start to start, and how they earn those numbers in races can be very different. So even though the one horse has a clear advantage from a numbers perspective, that was sprinting, not going long. And so we'll see what happens as we get a little bit further into it. I'm going to go with a little bit of a price here. Give me the number 11, yours sincerely, 5-1 on the morning line. A horse ran well over in Europe in a couple larger fields, 14 and 17 horse fields, ended up in the top 4 in both of those races, comes over to the U.S. and debuts on the lawn for Phil D'Amato. And I thought this was one of those performances that just really catches your eye. The number doesn't come back great. It's a 57 from a buyer perspective. But holy buckets. Yeah, we're going to throw that in again this week. Yours sincerely was closing like a monster in that race, was all the way back, didn't break well, and was able to just absolutely destroy this field. Was ninth at the top of the stretch, ends up winning by a length and a quarter clear. So the kick, the turn of foot was obviously there. This is also a horse that didn't find herself all the way back in Europe. Like, she was more of a middle pack, forwardly placed type of horse. So I think that was more of an anomaly that she was way back in the field. We'll see if she still has the same devastating kick if she is further back. But I think Yours Sincerely has the opportunity to go back to back here and 2 for 2 in the U.S.
Yeah, second choice for me. For all the reasons you said, she didn't. It was a mile race. She spent at least 6 furlongs just kind of hanging
Figuring
out.
it out. Yeah.
And then Phil D'Amato's son-in-law, Ricky Gonzalez, just pressed go, and it's like pressing like the NOS booster on a car that's been sitting in like first gear. All of a sudden, you just like you're one of those roller coasters where you just get slammed into the back of the seat because it accelerates so fast. And for her to not only win, but to win comfortably, very eye-catching. So I went 5 deep in here. I'm trying to beat the horse on the rail for this spot. So I actually went, that was my second choice. Top play for me that you did not use. Wow. We agreed on 3 horses here. You didn't use my top play, South Bay, the 5 horse. She debuted with a sprint win here by a length and a quarter. She was the 2-1 favorite. She's by Omaha Beach out of a Curlin mare. I think that there's a reason to think she can stretch out without any problems. For Tim Yakteen to have a horse in the field of 8 at Del Mar and to be favored at 2-1 on debut, I thought was quite notable. This is a horse that's going to, I think, need to ration the speed because there's a lot of pace. It looks like signed on, but she sat comfortably early. She wasn't right up there pressing the pace. She sat right behind them, and I think that she'll be tactical. She's not going to be coming from way out of it and have to deal with possibly some troubles there. But she clearly likes the Del Mar turf, and Hector Barros is going to stay aboard. So this top play for me is the 5 at 6-1.
Yeah, I looked at South Bay a lot. I kind of went back and forth if I was going to put a 5th horse on or full fade the 1. The 5 would have been the horse for me. But I watched the race back, and you're right. She kind of settled well, but she clearly is a horse that I think is going to want to be forward. And if she wants to be forward in this race, she's going to face a lot of contention. And that was my main concern around South Bay is that, look, these are 2-year-olds that a lot of them have been on the lead or forwardly placed. I think that's going to be the style we're going to see from a lot of these horses. And that means you're going to see a 22 and change opening quarter. You're going to see a 45 and change, maybe a low 46 half. And this isn't exactly the best speed favoring turf course right now either. And so I kind of left her off simply because I'm worried that the pace isn't going to be able to be very isn't going to set up very well for her. And because of that, you're going to see South Bay kind of fade a little bit toward the end. It is a horse I would use if I'm like playing tries or supers, but decided to leave it off here in the pick 5. Second pick for me here, the number 8 horse, Queen Bay. Second time out here for Simon Callahan. This one debuted at 5 furlongs. This one also, like, so the first race I think was a little bit misleading because you see the kind of similar style to what we see from South Bay, but they went 22-46, and this horse kind of just hung out toward the pace and then bursted clear. This is a $350,000 daughter charlatan out of Kodiak mare. So like I think this one is bred very well to be able to pick up the added distance here. And Callahan gets JJ Hernandez here, which is a big differentiator for me as well. Hernandez had a choice of like 4 or 5 different horses to land on. And this is where Hernandez decided to show up. And I think that's a big tip of the cap here to the 8 Queen Bay.
Third choice for, actually, no, I should say fourth choice, but definitely I thought was a horse that you'd want on the tickets. I know some people might look at it and say, well, she hasn't raced since the end of May at Santa Anita. And it's like, well, the problem in Southern California is that there aren't N1X races on the turf for 2-year-olds, at least not in September. They just don't have the horse flesh for that. And Simon Callahan, not really someone that's going to ship out. So we just sat on her and let her develop and grow up. She's a January foal, so she's a couple months older than some of these, which is 2-year-olds is very big. And the fact that Callahan, who's not a high percentage trainer, his percentage has gone up this year, which is nice. He's a better trainer than his last couple of years had indicated. But for this horse to be 2-5, I thought was very notable. Means the word was out that she was training lights out. And the dam was a turf router. So yeah, I agree with you on the breeding as well. Charlatan, one of those stallions that I think a lot of people thought would pop early, and it's kind of taken a little bit of time for them to get going. He's had 28 runners, but they're 2 for 19 on debut. Well, this is one of the two, so plenty of talent there. I also used I used the 5 for Yakteen. I also used the other Yakteen, the number 2 Soaring Angel, and this is a horse that I think I'm going to get a big price. There you go. Exactly.
Yep.
This I was going to answer that, Dennis. That's very timely. You look at the speed figure and go, okay, it was kind of on the front end. Wasn't a huge win. They went 25 and a half in the final quarter there, or final. Yeah, I was. There are reasons to be skeptical, but I do think that this one can take a step forward. I like that they debuted her routing, and she's out of the the mare named Kuyati, who gave us Johannes, but all 3 siblings are turf winners, so there's a lot of class here, a lot of pedigree, and you get the Knicks Go influence on top. Knicks Go, not a superb stallion, but a great bargain son, I think, at the 12-5 rank. So the fact that Frezu's here, Mike, is what ultimately put me. Now, Kamira was going to take the 1. Kamira had been aboard the 1 in the first 2 starts for McCarthy. That's your 7-2 morning line favorite. Frezu could have been, you would think, in a bunch of spots. He could have been on the 6, but he leaves the 6, who was a big maiden winner last out. He could have been on the 9. The 9 we'll talk about in a minute. Not on the 9. Not on the 10 for D'Amato. Like, you're leaving the D'Amato barn for this horse. So I thought this was a sneaky move for Frezu, and he's 31% for the Yakteen barn at Del Mar. So it's not like he didn't have options. He's here, I think, with intent.
Yeah, he is here within 10. My main issue with Soaring Angel is actually nothing about Soaring Angel. It's the fact that in that race, the number 4 horse Got the Ring, ran second. And we saw the number 4 horse come back and take on Yours Sincerely and Improbable You, the 9 and the 11, and get dusted. And that to me was a big issue with why I didn't want to necessarily follow back up with Got the Ring. Now, you could make an argument that Got the Ring had a completely different style. Missed the break and then ran better in that race against Soaring Angel than setting the pace, where kind of quit the first race and quit the third race. But the fact that Got the Ring has been that poor, it made me kind of stay away from Soaring Angel. Although if you're using the 5, I think using the 2 makes a lot of sense, because you're using one Yakteen. Why wouldn't you then want to use the other, especially at 20-1, and especially when Fresu jumps aboard? Fresu 13% or 31%, I'm sorry, for the Yakteen barn. So the fact that this is the Yakteen he lands on, I do think speaks highly of this. Now, Barrios was always going to be on the other one because he did ride that horse in the first start. But Fresu is the jockey that kind of Yakteen points to. I use the 9 Improbable You, and this is one where you kind of mentioned it. Ran second to Yours Sincerely last time out. This horse is 12-1 on the morning line. We both respect the heck out of Jonathan Thomas. And I think one of the most difficult things to do is have a high win percentage and a high ROI in stakes races. And Jonathan Thomas, one of the few trainers that clicks off at 22% anytime that he is in stakes race with a $2.06 ROI. He's also 29% with a $3 ROI in second-time maiden starters. The fact that this horse is a maiden, and they decided to then just throw this one up and say, okay, we're going to put you into the stakes company, I think says a lot about what they expect from this horse and what they thought of that first effort. I thought the first effort was pretty good. The horse was too wide pretty much the whole time, not really able to save ground, and made a nice run into a time that I thought was fairly good, that 1:37.4. I also have Yours Sincerely in first place. If I have the 11 in first, kind of feels like I have to have the 9 Improbable You somewhere on the ticket as well. So 9 was the third horse on for me.
I echo all your sentiments on that horse. There is a maiden special weight race going a mile at Del Mar on today's card, on Friday's card. The 7, who was second to South Bay, is actually entered in that race as well. And JJ Hernandez, who rode the 7 in debut, is named to ride the 7 if she draws in. She's the first horse on the AE list. So this is kind of a backup plan for the 7 in case you want to say, you want to say like, well, why are you using South Bay but not the 7? The 7 this is the backup plan for them in case they don't draw in. But everything is said with the 9, I agree with. The fact that Jonathan Thomas is just 1 for 15 is a misnomer. He's 20% on the year. He's also 8 for 15 in the top 3. So when you see 3 seconds, 4 thirds, to me, that's just racing luck. That's something I learned from you a long time ago. It's like that could just be if we suddenly have one of those thirds be a second, one of those seconds be a win, suddenly he looks even better on paper. And then you named all the stats for the 9. So fully agree with you on that. So I think we covered all of them. I went 2, 5, 8, 9, 11 in here. Did you, is there anyone that you used? Oh, you used the rail horse, didn't you?
Yeah, I used the 1 too. And this is going to be your favorite. I mean, I would expect this is your favorite. The horse just makes a ton of sense. The question is stretching out, but this is a City of Light horse out of a Malibu Moon mare. That generally goes pretty well on the stretch out. I mean, this is a horse that should be able to handle additional ground, wants to chase the pace, but should be forwardly placed. I love the rail draw for this horse because this is a situation where you should be able to save every bit of ground on the first turn, save every bit of ground on the second turn, be able to be tactical early, and then just fly by on the far turn and see if you're good enough. Has the best numbers from both the time form and a buyer perspective. So I'm not going to leave the 1 off here to start out this ticket. So I went 1, 8, 9, 11 to kick off the pick 5.
So it seems like we both thought this was a relatively wide open race. I went 5 deep, you went 4 deep. I see Patrick in the chat says all button. That's an interesting tactic. You need to either have a deep bankroll or some strong opinions in multiple races, because there's 13 horses. Even if the 7 scratches, there's 12 horses. So you're going 12 deep to start things off in a pick 5. It guarantees you move through and you can hope for a price. But my one concern, Patrick, is that if you're going to hit the all button, you better have some strong opinions later.
Yeah, I want to talk real quick. Penn State Scott asked, tell me
Yes.
how you differentiate a horse that doesn't like to win versus one who's just unlucky 4 or 5 times. The trip.
There's a horse that's specifically for that in the next race.
the trip to me is the big thing, right? Where like if a horse that doesn't like to win gets a clean trip, gets the opportunity to pass a horse on the outside, and just kind of like hangs out at their neck and doesn't necessarily go on with it. A horse that gets unlucky is a horse that got a bad post in one race, and then the next race gets caught up in a pace that is not advantageous toward it, and the following race is forced to check because they have a bad first turn. And like it's the difference between reasons, like the excuse in the race versus the horse just doesn't want to go by. So when the horses consistently run second with no excuse, that's a horse that in my mind doesn't like to win. We call him a hanger. When a horse consistently has a reason as to why they didn't run as well as they possibly could have, that's a horse that I'm looking at as one that got unlucky and one that I'm willing to try and play back at a price.
I agree with you on that. But like I said, the very next race has an example of those 2 horses that you can differentiate between. So let's move on. Race 8 started the late pick 4 at Del Mar. Mile for the optional claimers, $81,000 purse. They're running on dirt. Mark Ladd has 2 in here. The 2 Lyles song, based off of the speed figures, deserves to be favored, the most likely winner. This horse did not deserve to lose to Privman, except he's a mother effer of a hanger. Look at his stats. He's had 2 straight chances to get the win. That effort against Privman was not a Baffert rebreak. That horse was donkey green all over the stretch there. Lyles Song had the lead, and then Privman just waited on Privman to come back. So the blinkers are going on the 5-2 favorite. As you can tell from my tone, it's not for me, but I know you use the 2.
Yeah, I almost singled the 2 here, and I agree with you. Like Lyles Song was a little bit of a wanderer, right? If you want to put that in the stretch against Privman. I do think Privman also rebroke because Privman was done around the turn. And yes, Lyles Song slowed down a little bit, but they didn't exactly stop. I mean, they went pretty darn fast in that race, 45 flat to the half, 110-1 to 3/4, and Privman and Lyles Song both on that pace. And then they go home in 136-1. So I think they both kind of got tired as well. And that was part of the reason why you started to see a little bit of wandering from Lyles Song. I just like, here's my thing. I don't trust this 3 at all. I get that we just won a race popping a 99 buyer, but where did that come from? I mean, like there's nothing on the page that supports the fact that that's going to be something that this horse can run back to. I get it. If the 3 wins, I lose. I'm fine with that. I do think there's other speed that's signed on here. Specifically, the 7 I think is going to try and go with the 3 horse. Last time on dirt, the 7 went 21-3, 44 flat. Last time going a mile, started out going 22-4. So I think there's pace pressure, and I think Lyles Song just trips out. And I don't think you need the best effort from Lyles Song to be able to win this, because I do think this is quite a bit of a drop in class versus what we've seen the last time.
Um, yeah, it's a dicey proposition taking Lyle Song at a short price. So that was, I think, also kind of where I landed. So not for me, but I did use who Dennis says he likes the 5 more than the 3. I like the 5 best of all. I made Speedy Wilson the top play. Now it's a son of Tough Sunday, one of my favorite Cowbreds when he was running. Um, he hasn't had too many offspring, but he's got a very high strike rate from his horses. He's had 14 make it to the races, and he's had I want to say it's up to 9 now that are winners. Speedy Wilson, Shea Brennan, Nancy Griffith, all really strong Cowbreds. And he's taken on open company for the first time. He's also routing for the first time. But this horse loves Del Mar. 4 races here. He was third on debut after blowing the break. Ever since then, he gets second in the next start. Then he wins 2 straight 7-furlong stakes races, including one off of a long layoff. His buyers have improved in all 5 starts. He's a 3-year-old taking on some older horses, so he's going to catch a weight break here. He's never had Lasix before, even though he was running. He's made 5 different starts in his career. And Armando Ayuso, I talked about it last show that I really have enjoyed watching Ayuso grow and get better and better. And he's not getting bet all that often. So this horse, I think, for a good reason, is 6-1 because it's a big test for him. But this horse really has passed every test, and even though he's stretching out from 7 furlong races, he's stalked in every race. I don't think he's going to be too forwardly placed here, but he should be able to hopefully have that kick left at the end.
Yeah, this would have been my third horse on if I was going 3 deep. I don't love the state bred to open company. I think people underestimate how big of a jump up that can be. But he was at least facing state bred company that was in stakes level. But that's also the 3-year-old state level. So here's the thing. All of his first races were against 2-year-olds, right? Including his stakes race. And then he jumps up and he faces just 3-year-olds in a stakes race on debut. So not only is he jumping up and facing older, he is also jumping up and facing open company. And both of those combined just made me not want to put this horse on the ticket. I don't have nothing against people wanting to use the 5. I would use the 5 over the 3. I think the 5 is a very logical horse at 6-1. It ended up just being left off my ticket from a price perspective, a cost perspective. I did use the other Glatt, the one horse, Wayne the Brain, who was on the rail in this spot. Glatt does exceptionally well stretching out from sprint to route. 20% going from sprint to route. He's 35% second off the layoff when you're looking at over 180 days. So horses often improve quite a bit. The winner of the last race came back and won again. He was wide the entire time in that race. This is I think the trip is similar to the 5, where both of them have tactical speed. But I get a 4-year-old second off the layoff who is a high purchase price out of Matoli that shouldn't have any issues with the distance, that's been facing open company, been facing older. So I just like the upside more second out for the 1 than I do the upside more for the second out for the 5 in this spot.
I used the 1 as well. I thought between the Glatt horses, this is the one I liked more. And the horse that beat him, Awesome Rhythm, that was his 3rd straight win on dirt. Out of that, he won his 4th straight race on dirt. He got a 92 buyer. So a horse beat you with an 87. You were right there with him. You got an 84. Out of that, he came back and won with a 92 buyer. So while the 1's buyers are going up, the horse that beat him continues to have that same ascension. So agree with you on the 1. And then the 3rd horse for me is, I just used the 3 Del Mar Jerry. This horse has only raced on a dirt mile twice. He's won both of them by over 4 lengths each time. He beat Starter Allowance Company at Santa Anita at the end of 2023. Out of that, he then came back and won 2 straight races. Got claimed out of the Michael McCarthy barn 3 back. They ran him back in a turf sprint. He ran an okay 3rd and then stepped up. Okay, 40K claimers, but he absolutely destroyed them from start to finish. You know what you're going to get from him. And he's a lightly raced 5-year-old, but 6 starts on a fast dirt track. 4 of them just outright wins. He's not a horse I want to play in the exotics because he does not finish on the board if he doesn't win, but he does like to win. Like I said, 4 for 6, including last out in a big way. So I used him. Strangely, I feel like I can trust him at a shorter price than what I can the 2 horse, just based off of what I've seen from the 2 in the last 2 races.
Yeah, I see. I just think the 2's faced better the last 2 races, and that to me is the big difference here. Like Privman came back, ran well, going a mile again. Like I just think that Lyle Song has just faced a lot better in this race. 2 horses I do want to mention. The number 8 Clouseau and the number 4 Miracle Mark, 2 horses that have been on turf the last couple that are switching over to dirt. I would love the 4 Miracle Mark here if there wasn't Delmar Jerry. I just don't see a world where he doesn't get the lead and wins, and that's what really kept me off Miracle Mark. I love Slam Dunk Racing, was part of Slam Dunk Racing for a long time. They place their horses exceptionally well, so I do think this horse handles the dirt. But I look through this and I'm like, how does he win? It's got to be gate to wire. And I just could not come up with a way that he's going to be able to go gate to wire in this race with Delmar Jerry right to his inside. The 8 Clouseau, I think, is really interesting because this horse faced Kings River Knight the last 2 races, who has just been dominant in those Calbred turf stakes races, one going a mile on the turf before that, but has like ample dirt background prior to that, including running like multiple mid-low 80s buyers, has tactical speed, has shown that he can close. This horse likes to win, 7 for 25 in the career, has yet to be successful over Delmar's dirt. I think that's the one kind of real knock. And that was a lot of it was against State Bred Company or done at other tracks when you look at the success. So it feels like a little bit of a cut below, but it's, Papa Padremo, second off a layoff with Rispoli, who decides to ride, and a horse that should get a pretty good setup. So I thought the 8 was a little interesting here as well.
I gave a look to the 8. I think I think you know what you're going to get from it, and I think against this group, that like low to mid 80s buyer isn't good enough to win. Good enough to hit the board, yes, but good enough to win, I'm not sure. And the same I would say about the 9, Better Than Gold, that boy, does this horse need to switch to a different circuit where it's not so speed crazy, because the one win in his 9-start career was at Del Mar. He spotted them 8.5 lengths going a mile and got up to win, and he beat Imagination. This horse's first and third starts were against Nisos. He faced Formidable Man, who is absolutely formidable on the turf at Del Mar. He's faced Full Serrano, Ultra Power. Yeah. He's faced some good horses. He needs a spot where he can use that late kick that he has. He's one, I think, underneath, especially with the blinkers coming off. But it's got to be a frustrating horse that you spent $290,000 on, because the gates break open and he's like Sadler's Joy out there. He's like, da, 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 da. And then he waits until like the last quarter mile and goes, okay, now let's go. So.
I will say this on today's, like with this race, there is a lot of cheap speed. Like if Lyle Sung doesn't go, if Speedy Wilson and Wayne the Brain don't fire, I wouldn't be shocked if Better Than Gold upsets the apple cart. But that's more of a tournament horse to me than a pick 5 horse. Because tournaments, that one separates you. Pick 5s, it does as well, but you're going to go really deep to get there.
Let's see how deep Mike wants to go in race 8, the grade 3 John C. Maybe Stakes, mile and 8th on the turf for the fillies and mares. Last year's champion, Hang the Moon, is back. She's breaking from the outside post at 5-1. You got Grand Motion bringing Gimme Another in here. Second choice, at least on the morning line, at 3-1. I singled Maduro. I'll just come right out and say it. I've got a single on Maduro. She loves Del Mar. She's never finished off the board in her career. I think that at that price, she's going to get bet a lot. She stands out in that win in the Oceanita Stakes off of a 7-month layoff. She beat him by almost 2 lengths. Second and fifth place, came back to win with 89 and 91 buyers in stakes races. I think this horse she's a brand new filly at age 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what she does here because she danced all the dances in that the 3-year-old season 2024. She ran in 5 straight graded stakes there, won the grade 3, was on the board in grade 2s and grade 1s as well. Faced She Feels Pretty, lost to You Scream, who was a very good horse at this level in that 3-year-old class last year. Thought the return effort was awesome. She was very good there. I've got her on top. I can't really knock her. I like the fact that she gets to carry her second low weight of her career in this spot as well, which seems kind of crazy. And second off of the 4-year-old season, I think is obviously a positive as well. I did use one other horse. I used the 2 Public Assembly as well. And this is just like, look, this was a very, very good horse after leaving the Chad Brown barn. Ran really well in an $50,000 N1X, jumps up and wins a grade 3, goes into the grade 1 game link. I mean, that was just, let's pump the brakes a little bit, right? Let's just pump the brakes a little bit.
They wanted to know what they had, and they found out they don't have a grade 1 winner against Be Your Best.
And then you have a long layoff, and you come back in the grade 2 Yellow Ribbon. And I think she ran better than what it actually looks like. Kadira wins that race. That's a very good horse. she didn't really get any pace to chase and was kind of off the race, and the trip wasn't what you really want. She was 2 or 3 wide the whole way around. I think there's some significant improvement that is available here for this horse, right? And when you see a horse running high 80s in their early 4-year-old season, and now you get the later 4-year-old part, 90s are entirely possible, and I think that's probably what's going to take to win this race, a low 90. We know the 4 can do it. We know the 7 can do it, although I don't really like Give Me Another here. And I think the 2 has the capability of doing that. The only other horse on the field, and one that I considered for a long time, was Mission of Joy, the 3 horse who's 12-1. And a decent price. That last trip for Mission of Joy was not great in the yellow ribbon either. So I'm going to go 2-4 here. But if I added anybody else, I'd be 2-3-4.
If I was going to go too deep, I would have also used Public Assembly. The horse that beat her in the yellow ribbon had made 2 starts for Grand Motion coming into this. 3rd beat in a length in the Grade 3 Bogey at Backwaduct. 3rd beat in a half length at Saratoga. And then came over here. She went gate to wire as the $1.70 favorite. Like, there was no question about who the best horse was in that race. In Public Assembly, off the long layoff, was the second best runner in there. So I'm with you that that's the direction I would go. The way I structured my ticket, I looked at Medoro. It's like it's her or maybe the 2, but I didn't have a strong enough opinion elsewhere to go for that. The 7, Give Me Another, I was a little surprised wasn't on your ticket just because it's Grand Motion bringing a horse to California, and he usually does well. The one time he did was a winner at this meet. So why did you not go with the South African 7 horse?
Because I used the 4, and I like this became a ticket structure issue for me because I have the favorite in the first leg. In the second leg, I have the favorite, and I'm using the favorite here. And it's like, if I'm going to go 2 deep, if I'm going to go 3 deep here, I don't want to have both of the 2 short prices. I like the 4 Medoro over the 7, Give Me Another. And because of that, the 7 kind of got left by the wayside. So I understand anyone that wants to play the 7. My concern is if you're using the 1 horse in the first leg, if you like the 2 in the second leg, using the 4 and the 7 in the third leg, all of a sudden you just shouldn't be betting the sequence if you're going to do that. And so I kind of had to make a decision between the 2. I landed on the 4. It's why, like, if you told me who I thought was the most likely winner, it's the 4. The second most likely winner is the 7, right? But the prices on the 2 and the 3, considering the rest of my ticket, I think are much more interesting than trying to go 4-7 and get through here, right? So I'm going 4-2. I would be 2-3-4 if I added another, and then the 7 would be the last one on for me if you really want to go deep and you're willing to throw out favorites earlier or later in the sequence.
The penultimate leg of the late pick 5 sequence, Saturday, September 6th at Del Mar, race number 10. We're going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. Calbreds 3 and up, which have never won once other than maiden claiming starter, blah, 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 blah. 10 Calbreds set to go an elongated sprint of 6.5 furlongs. Where'd you go on top?
I'm going to go to a price here. Give me the number 7, Minister Shane, 10-1 on the morning line. It's a Carla Gaines horse who took a very, very long time off, and I thought came back and ran very well, going 6, gets cut back to 5.5, draw a line through that race. Just had a terrible break, got squeezed early, had to check. You can see it in the run line. Anytime a horse is 7th, then they drop back to 11th or 12th, and then they close into 8th. I guarantee you there was trouble in the middle of that race. And it's just not a normal running line that you're going to see from a horse because you don't see horses start and stop at that level. I think the 6.5 actually plays better toward the 7 than a lot of the favorites in this field. You've got quite a bit of speed signed on. We've seen that the 7 horse be able to kind of keep on going 6.5, and that's something we have not seen from a lot of other horses. You add Rispoli here for Gaines. You're also getting 3rd off the layoff. We talk about this with Carla Gaines a lot. Not a horse you necessarily want to bet first out. And then you start to see the horse run into form. When you have a long layoff like this, I do think you're going to get a better effort 3rd off the layoff. And I think that second effort, again, is when you just draw on a line through anyway. And if that's the case, I can make a pretty good idea that the number 7, Minister Shane, should not be 10-1. So I'll go with the 7 on top here. Who'd you take?
I went to the horse that beat him, 2 back, the 5 horse Titanic Thompson for the Steve Miotti barn. That effort 2 back I thought was very strong. Went right to the lead under Maldonado. Got caught late, beaten by a head, but was almost 2 lengths clear of Minister Shane, who definitely does have room for improvement. I like your thinking on the 7. Last time out, as the $1.60 favorite, going 5.5 here at this level. I know he broke from post 8, but he and the 9 horse gunned out. They both went inside, so he got hounded by the 9 horse, got knocked around, found like another breather briefly, rebid, started to come back, and then just it was too much for a 5.5 furlong race. I think now stretching out to 6.5, which he's never run this far, but at least on dirt. I think that he's one that can absolutely have a better trip. I think from the middle here is a good spot for him. He did win going 6.5 on turf back on May 17th. That's actually how he broke his maiden. I'm willing to scratch off the last race when he was the $1.60 favorite, and I think there's going to be a market overreaction to him finishing a well-beaten fifth as the $1.60 favorite, that he suddenly presents value and a kind of a beaten favorite angle against the similar horses coming back. So I went with the 5 on top.
Yeah, I'm not going to use the 5. And it's a distance concern for me. Either the 5.5 race we saw, you mentioned it. That was not an easy race for him. So I don't want to say he couldn't get the 5.5. I think he 100% could have gotten the 5.5. But I look, the start prior to that where there were no issues. Horse ran fairly well, got the lead, was opened up by 2, going 6 furlongs, and got nailed by a horse named Poker Knight at Eves, who did not come back and run all that great next time out. And then you go back further and you're like, okay, debuted at 6.5. And it's debut, so you want to give it a little bit of a grain of salt, but just quit out the back after we went 6 furlongs. Also debuted in stakes race, which is tough to do. Came back at 6 on the turf, quit. Came back at 6.5 and was able to get it done there. But I turf speed and dirt speed to me are 2 separate things. I just don't think Titanic Thompson wants this last half furlong. And I think that's where things fall apart a little bit. I mean, 6.5 is a tricky distance to get, especially for 3-year-olds. And I'm not sure that the Titanic Thompson's up to it. At the 7-2 price, I was willing to leave this one off. I also thought this horse was going to take money because people, I think, are going to look at the race 2 back and bet this horse. We'll see if that's the case. But this is one where I'm willing to let Titanic Thompson beat me if he wants to. Right to his outside, Catman Sue, I think, is your favorite for a reason. This horse ran really well 6 furlongs last time out, gets claimed for $50,000. Doug O'Neill claims this one and brings it back protected, which I think says quite a bit as well. Only tried dirt a couple times prior to that race. Broke the maiden over this Del Mar dirt. Is 2 for 2 over the Del Mar dirt. Went to Santa Anita, tried a dirt race, ran well considering for a second start. First time against winners. Tried dirt one more time going a mile. That was just a little bit too long. Now we're back at 6.5 furlongs. This horse has some tactical speed but can still stalk. It's interesting because the early time form pace rating on this horse is low because of the 6.5 and 6 furlong races on the turf, yet was attending a 22:44-1 pace last time out and had no problem keeping up with it and then keeping on going 6.5 furlongs. I think the 6 makes a lot of sense here, so I'm going to use that one at 5-2.
Well, Patrick's nailing the 3 horses that the 2 of us like here, because I also agreed on the 6 Catman Sue. Dennis says, see, the 6 is why I struggle in Cali racing. I don't love this horse, but this is the type of horse that beats me. His effort last time out, I thought, was impressive. And the fact that Doug O'Neill claims him and runs him back this quick at the end of the meet, I thought really said, and on dirt, I thought really said something. I'm positive that the O'Neill barn targeted this race when they claimed him. They said, we can claim him and run him right back one more time. Eric Johnson, former hockey. Is he still playing hockey? I thought he retired. Is Eric Johnson still play?
He was on Colorado last year. I'm not sure if he is still playing this year.
I thought maybe he went back there as like he's going to retire now.
Still one of my top 5 like horse racing moments when I got to meet Eric Johnson in the paddock is like a super Blues fan. He gets drafted first overall by the Blues. We co-owned a horse together with Slam Dunk.
Yeah.
Like that was awesome meeting him in the paddock. Bob Baffert trained our horse too. It's hilarious. And who was it? Mike Smith rode the horse. And I remember getting Mike Smith's autograph when I was like 6 years old. And so we're in the paddock and I'm telling him this story. And he's like, dude, you're making me feel old. I'm in my early 30s here. And I was like, 25 years ago, I got your autograph. He's like, man, really? That's what we're going to talk about?
Real quick before we move on, because I'm not going to reiterate everything you said about the 6. I like it. Titanic Thompson, the horse, is named for, when I learned about Titanic Thompson, the person,
yeah,
that's like to me your evil alter ego. Like, I don't know if you know the legend of Titanic Thompson, but like whenever you're like, hey, all right, so prop bet, if my horse is leading at the halfway point, but then your horse that you like better beats me, then we'll put a bottle of tequila on it. This guy in like the roaring 20s and 30s and all that, this is exactly what he did. He went around the country. I say he's your evil alter ego because he was a malicious con man, He supposedly killed 5 different men, was never charged with the crime. He married 5 different women, several small fortunes. Whichever way he could bet you on something with his own prop bets or horseshoes or pool table golf, he was willing to do it, and he most likely would beat you at it. So I think of Titanic Thompson, and I think Mike Somich, but like, if you were an evil asshole in the 1920s and 30s, that's who you would have been.
Interesting. I mean, okay, I'll take like if I had the mustache and the top hat, like the villainous version of Mike Somich.
If you've ever seen Guys and Dolls, it's kind of like Titanic Thompson's kind of that. It was based off of him.
That could be me.
Anyways,
you never know. Fear me. Just worry. You don't know what I'm capable of.
Homework for the Magic Mike Show audience. Just do some research on Titanic Thompson and tell me that's not Mike Somich's evil twin. All right, the 5th and final leg of the late pick 5, Saturday, September 6th at Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, race 11. We're going back to the turf, and we have N1X fillies and mares going a mile. 2 also eligibles, 12 runners set to go postward. Who you got?
Oh, this is a fun one, Magic. This is a fun way to close it out. Give me the number 7 here, wordplay on top. I'm not going to get too creative on top, but I do like a couple prices underneath. The last 2 races are good enough to win this. You keep Rispoli. You have tactical speed. You know you like this Del Mar turf. 1 win, 2/3 in 3 starts. Likes the distance. Has hit the board all 8 times, including 2 wins. Not going to get crazy on top here. Very logical horse in the 7, but I do like a couple prices afterward. Did you use the 7?
Top play for me. Top play for Dennis Trust. Yeah, this horse is, I mean, you look at the odds that she's been $1.10, nickel, 60-cent favorite in 3 starts off the claim. Yeah, she's awesome. I agree. Top play for me. Second choice for me, I went 2 posts to her outside. I went with the number 9, Sweet Delta Dawn. We haven't seen her since September 7th of last year, so closing weekend last year. Now, that's a long time, but Richard Baltus, he's 21% off the layoff. She has 4 consecutive works on the turf leading into this, which I also enjoy seeing. And out of that race that she broke her maiden in, going a mile and 16th here last year, 2nd, 3rd, 6th, 8th, all won next out. So 4 horses from the maiden special weight race didn't just win, they won their next starts. I think that this is a horse that also maybe being on the lead because she drew the rail in August 2nd of last year might have been to her detriment. She's forwardly placed, but her effort last time out, I really told me this is one that likes, she's tactical. She can sit off a little bit. And the win jockey, Armando Ayuso, he's back aboard today.
You love Ayuso, man. How long can we say it's a key race for? Like a year later, can we bring up that it's a key race, or are we kind of over the key race at that point?
No, I mean, because she hasn't raced since then, I would say that it was a key race. You want the key race of all key races? Look at the TCA stakes on the Del Mar Friday Breeders' Cup undercard of last year. You had 7 future stakes winners in that race. That's the key race of all key races.
I always like there's always one Del Mar and Saratoga maiden special weight that becomes that race every single year. There's one where you're like, holy crap, this was an absolutely loaded field. Let's go to a price. Give me the number 1, Beats, 12-1 here on the morning line. You probably knew I was going to play this one if you know me or have listened to the show quite a bit. This is just a horse that, okay, we're switching from Mott to McCarthy. I'm good with that switch. McCarthy, not great first time out. That's the biggest issue here, first time trainer. But he's had this horse for almost a year. So I'm going to look more toward the layoff stats versus the first time trainer stats, 15% off this type of layoff. So not terrible. This horse has a load of talent. Okay. Ran first out at Aqueduct, 10 out of 10 posts, going 6 furlongs. Terrible post. The horse ends up running second. Comes back, goes a mile, breaks out of the 8 out of 10 post. Aqueduct. Bad post to go a mile at Aqueduct. Gets the win. Jumps up to Saratoga, gets the 2 out of 10 post, has an absolutely disastrous start. They put blinkers on this horse, but then in the subsequent 2 races, draws the 11 of 12 going a mile and 16th at Saratoga, and draws the 11 of 11 going 5 furlongs at Keeneland. Both of those absolutely terrible posts, right? Now we draw the rail against a level that I think fits very well for this horse. This is the lowest level that we're going to brace at in our career. This is the lowest purse this horse is ever going to run for. It's a lot easier than Saratoga N1X is $110,000. It's a lot easier than Keeneland N1X is $110,000. You have tactical speed. The horse is working phenomenally in the morning. 2 very good works that are sneaky. We talk about this all the time. I love works that are second or third best of the day, because everyone doesn't see the little circle, the little bullet, which everyone starts betting. You have to kind of, the second and third ones are the sneaky good works that I think are interesting. This horse has tactical speed. This horse has proven it can pass other horses. The trip should be a lot better. The company is a lot weaker. It's first out late in the 4-year-old season, which is a logical improvement point. Gonzalez and McCarthy in the last 2 years at Del Mar, 20% with a $6.24 ROI. I love the one horse beats in this spot. I think it's a big spot, a big shot to get the win at a big price.
I agree with you, everything that you said. Here's my one question for you. Does she need the lead? Because her one strong performance, she went gate to wire. Nobody touched her throughout. There's excuses for the other, the next 3 starts. Her debut, she went 7th to 2nd, but she was 3 3/4 lengths back at first call, 3 1/4 back at last call. So is she a speed type, or has she just not really ever been given a chance to show that she can do more than that?
I don't think she's ever had the chance. I mean, because of the post positions, because of the starts that she's had, I just like the one time she had a chance was the race 3 back, and she got brutally squeezed at the start and bumped. And so all of a sudden, you don't know what that horse can be because you're last of 10 on the rail. Like, that's very difficult to go a mile at Saratoga and be stuck and get bumped and just try and figure out, okay, what are we going to do now? So I don't think we've ever seen the one really get a chance to run. And if you look at that mile victory, 113-3 Magic to the 6 furlong point, 136-4 home, 23-1 for the final quarter of a mile. That is ridiculously fast. Even if you look at that race that they finished on prior to that, 11-2 going 6 furlongs, a very good final quarter time, and she closed into that final eighth of a mile time there. I just don't think that we've seen the best of this horse because of the way that this horse's career has started out. And now you get to try the Del Mar turf. You get the best post of your position, your best post position of your life, and you get a trainer that I think can handle this type of horse. I think the one just makes a ton of sense at this level.
I agree. And Patrick, this is what we love to see from the show is maybe we didn't convince you ultimately that you need to use the one, but I love that when we have cases like this where someone says, you guys make a good point. I'll look at the horse again before playing the ticket. So great to see that, Patrick. He likes the 7 a lot as well. I went with the 9 in the second choice. Third choice, the outside post from the current field, the number 12. The best is yet to be. I love Irish-bred D'Amato horses on the turf at Del Mar. Now, she's 0 for 4 on the surface, but she debuted in the Juvenile Fillies Turf Stakes here, was the 2-1 favorite in that race, and they very clearly needed a race. Out of that, second beat and a half length at the fall meet at this level. From that point, they said, oh, well, let's put you in the Grade 3 Jimmy Durante Stakes here at Del Mar. Okay, that was, again, too much. The Blue Northern Stakes, a mile turf event at Santa Anita, too much. They sat on this horse for 2.5 years.
That's wild.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
D'Amato didn't kick her out of the barn, which is often what you would see happen from a top trainer. They said, I got too many horses, move on. They debut at 25 beaten claimers. Nobody took her. She won for fun. They ran back against Starter Allowance Company. Horses worth double the price, $50,000 starter allowance, wins for fun as a 3-2 favorite. Out of that, they say, how far can we run her? They ran her a mile and 3/8. She ran a good second, beating half a length there, and now she cuts back for her second start of the form cycle, back to a condition where she missed by a half a length. And she's got the outside draw. She's got Frezu aboard. Look at those 3 rides with Frezu. 2 open length wins, second beat and a half, maybe possibly going too far. I think she makes a lot of sense here from that outside post.
I don't disagree with you. I did not use this horse. I'm not going to use this horse. The post position's a problem for me, especially at the mile distance. The fact that I also think she's just better at Santa Anita is a little bit of an issue for me. Now, she did run the second place finish in the mile $80,000 N1X with Pratt aboard. That was her second race in the U.S. That I thought was a good race over Del Mar. I wasn't that impressed with her last race over Del Mar, where they went really fast early, and she was able to get the trip that she wanted, being able to close into it. And she ran into a little bit of traffic, but I'm not sure why she didn't win that race. And now I'm coming back and I'm getting 4-1, and I'm not sure she gets the same pace set up. We're going significantly shorter, and she's hung to the outside. And the combination of all those with the 4-1 price on it makes it hard for me to really get overly excited about the 12 in this spot. I considered the 10, Rob N bringing up the 10 will take some money. The 10 was my fourth horse on. I'm only going 3 deep here. I am going to agree with Patrick. He's ending with the 7 and the 2. The 2, Yellow Sundress, going to be my last horse on the ticket here at 12-1. I think this is your speed of the speed, and I just don't see a ton of speed in this race. When you kind of go through it, you're like, okay, who's going to really press? Well, the 9 wants to be speed, but the 9 has been speed going long. And the 10 has showed some pace going shorter, but I don't think necessarily makes the lead. I think it kind of defaults to the 2, Yellow Sundress. And this is a Mark Glad horse that I think stretches out well. If you look at the Tomlinson number, 390, so appreciates the extra distance here, has had success sprinting. And if you look at the numbers for Glatt going from sprint to a route, he's 21%. So he's very good at going sprint to route. DeSormo gets aboard this one. I think Yellow Sundress is really sneaky here at 12-1, second off the layoff, second time out in the later part of the 4-year-old season for a horse that should be able to stretch out based on the breeding. So give me the 2, Yellow Sundress, 12-1 as the third and final horse on my ticket from this race.
I considered, and the breeding says mile. I mean, Caraconti and Cities at both, I think, mile and even turf.
No further, but mile is fine.
Mile on the 16th, no.
Yeah.
Here's my issue. And it's a personal one, I can't trust Kent DeSormo, the jockey. It's too hard for me to trust him to give a horse its best effort, because there are like montage clips you can find on the internet of rides where it's just him giving up. Now, if he's a bit Paco Lopez-ish in that if he thinks he's going to win, he's going to try. If he thinks he's going to win on this, it's dangerous, and I'm nervous about it. But it's a big if for me. So I took a pass. I understand. If this had Fresu or Kyle Frey or almost any other jockey at Del Mar aboard, I'm more. And I realize Kent DeSormo, 4 for 16 at the meet, 10 for 16 in the money. How many of those 6 times that he finished second or third could he have won with a better effort? So. Not for me, but it is going to make me a little nervous because there are plenty of reasons to think the horse takes a step forward. Last one for me is the 10, Transcending. The sire, King of Change, he was second at a huge price in the 2000 Guinea Stakes. That's a mile. This is a horse that I think he used the angle like the 2 that the breeding says, all right, we haven't gone a mile, but we could.
We should.
The horse broke the maiden by 5.5 lengths at Leopardstown. Good Irish Series race by over 5 lengths. So is a horse that had one race at Del Mar right at the beginning of the meet, 5 furlongs, didn't really get bet that much, was 5-1, but also had I think a rough trip early, but is one that's going to be better for 2 turns. Maybe Phil wanted to bring her back at 6.5 or a flat 6 or something like that. Del Mar can't handle that. It's either 5 or a mile, and there's nothing in between. 5 maybe just ultimately too short for her, but now second off the layoff, and JJ stays aboard. Like that's, I think, is significant as well. It is probably also why the horse will take money. But I'll just go ahead and play the 10 Transcending here and hope that on the stretch out, she's a better horse than what she showed in her local debut.
I wouldn't talk you off it. Like I said, fourth horse on for me. Fourth horse on my ticket, but I left that one off. I only went 3 deep. So I think the 10 makes sense at the price. Only knock is the 3-year-old against 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. This is one of just 2 horses that are 3. But you get a weight break for it. So I don't hate the idea of the 10 trying to win. I wish the 10 was drawn inside instead of outside. But again, I could see the 10 running a big race here for D'Amato and Hernandez.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining us to talk about the final late pick 5 on a Saturday at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club until it's Breeders' Cup time. Give it our tickets one last time. For the audio listeners, we'll read them out. If you are watching us, join us here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Appreciate it. Take a look down below for those tickets. I'm going to start off going 2, 5, 8, 9, 11, then 1, 3, 5, then single the 4-horse Medoro in the yellow ribbon, then 5, 6, and then 1, 7, 9, 10, 12. It's a very much like a V-shaped, U-shaped ticket for me here. $75 in total, Mike.
It's the concave ticket. We talked about it before the show. It is concave, not convex, because we had that conversation. I'm going to play a $72 ticket here. Start out 4 deep. Give me the 1, 8, 9, 11 with 1, 2, with 2, 4, with 1, 6, 7, with 1, 7. So I've got the 1 in 4 races. It'll cost you $74 or $72 there for a 50-cent ticket in the late pick 5 at Del Mar. Wanted to bring this up too, Magic, because we used to talk about this a lot more, and we don't talk about it as much as we used to. You mentioned Nick Sko. He is currently number 2 on the freshman sire rankings. Do you know who number 1 is?
I should know. Who is it?
Yaupan, who's been awesome so far. Yaupan's been very, very good as a sire. Over $1 million in earnings. 41 runners for Yaupan. 15 of them have been winners. Nick Sko second. Maxfield third. 29 runners, 10 winners. So Maxfield doing very well. I want to shout out Bo Liam, who is fourth, and no one is talking about. Bo Liam turf, not great. Hasn't been great. Bo Liam dirt has been awesome. 32 runners so far. 7 of those have been winners. I think Bo Liam, one of those, standing for just $6,000. If you see an expensive Bo Liam first time on the dirt, go ahead and include that one. It has a very good shot of running big.
I'm so happy you brought him up because he's a horse that you're not going to see a lot of his progeny running in major big races, at least not right now. But covering the smaller tracks like I do for FanDuel, those Bo Liams I've seen firsthand are like, whoa, that was really impressive.
Yeah.
Good old Nick Sko, as a drunk Heather Halterman once coined him.
Also, one more shout out to our boy Violence, who got a first-time starter at 25-1 home on Kentucky Downs yesterday to start out the card, paid over $50, was a must-use horse, was a big part of a monster score for the Somobombs there. Still love me some Violence, first-time turf. The horse does not get respect. Expensive Violence's first-time turf. Watch out.
That'll be one of our all-time favorite horses here on the Magic Mike Show. But we appreciate each and every one of you for joining us here. Make sure you check out the Somobomb. As Mike said, had an unbelievably significant day at Kentucky Downs on the Thursday card. Hopefully they're on the track Saturday and Sunday. You can still play. Is Sunday the closing day? It's got to be, right? Because then they go back to Churchill.
I thought there was another. Let me double check. I thought there was one more day after it. Wednesday.
That's
Saturday,
right. They have
Sunday,
a wacky-ass Wednesday.
Yeah. I was going to say, I remember 3 when I was looking at past performances. And by the way, shout out Kentucky Downs. I'm pissed at you for raising your takeout. Don't get me wrong. Not happy that you passed the HISA costs over to the players. But I appreciate you having your past performances up super early so that I can handicap these cards. Unlike, I was handicapping Sunday's card on Tuesday of this week. That's like, it shouldn't be that hard to put out cards that early. So shout out to them to at least getting that stuff up early.
It seems like Del Mar is the only one still stuck in the we're going to wait until Wednesday night for Saturday. We're going to wait until Thursday night for Sunday. It's like everybody else has got it out and we're talking about it and we're excited about it. Like, it's hard to get excited about it like we can for the other tracks. So it's like, well, we got to wait. And also from a TV production standpoint, we're sitting there on Wednesday morning having our weekly production meetings talking about, like, here's the storylines we can talk about on FanDuel coming up at Del Mar. Well, maybe this horse will run. We've got this big plan if the horse enters the race. We don't know. We all have contacts at the racing office. They don't know. They think he's probable. And then you have a case like with Nyso scratching out of the Pacific Classic where that's the most stress I've ever seen the FanDuel offices, because like at least a third, if not almost half the show that was planned for Pacific Classic Day at Del Mar was revolving around him. His involvement in some form or another, whether it was like fierceness, but how will he fare against Nysos? Journalism versus Nysos. Like, you take Nysos out of the equation and everything gets screwed up. So
have we heard anything? Insight. Have you heard anything about Nysos? Like, I have not seen a peep about this injury after it happened. I know Baffert talked about possibly targeting a race at Santa Anita, but like, it seems like it was just like, hey, he kicked the stall. He's got a little foot contusion, but we haven't officially heard anything from the Baffert barn. Have you heard anything?
Just what you said, that Baffert thought it was minuscule, that it was minor, that he was fine that morning, and then they had him get out and like walk, shed row walk, as you usually do with horses on a race day, and then that's when they noticed he was off. So they're hoping it's minor and they can target what used to be known as the Awesome again, and other things that's now called the Goodwood Stakes again. So the California Crown is what it was called. Remember when they briefly tried the California Crown? That didn't work out.
Nope.
Yeah. One thing I will say, Santa Anita, they've got, after this, we go to Los Al for a couple of weeks. And then when Santa Anita resumes, they have a new $1 pick 6, 15% takeout, full payout, no carryover, no CAWs. It's the last 3 races at Gulfstream and the last 3 races at Santa Anita for the day. So I love that they're doing that. It does stink that you're going to bet 3 races, get through 3 races at Gulfstream and have like a 3-hour halftime show to go through, and then the 3 hit Santa Anita because we're on different coasts. But other than that, I think it's a really great attempt at trying to get more wagering dollars into it. And the way they're setting it up, Mike, is also nice.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there's no CAW wagering, huge positive, right? So immediately we don't have to worry about that. I wish you could carry over. I do wish that it wasn't full payout, right? That you can carry over the pick 6 the next day and you could have the 15% on the carryover days as well. Naira, middle finger to you guys for going up to 24% on the second day of a pick 6 carryover. But it would be nice if we could have carryovers inside that pool. But look, I don't mind the jump between the races because I would much rather have the last 3 at Santa Anita than have the first 3 at Santa Anita, right?
Yeah.
Because the last 3 races are generally much more competitive, bigger fields. To me, that's a little more interesting.
Well, it's been an interesting show, and hopefully everything continues. This killed me. I don't know if you ever watched Eastbound and Down, but Ashley Schaefer was like, he looked like kind of like Ric Flair on the show Eastbound and Down. Was like a used car salesman, played by Will Ferrell. It's great. Anyways, it is. Yeah, it kind of does look like Bob Baffert a bit there.
I did watch that show. I do remember that show. I remember Eastbound and Down now. Yeah, now that you're like Will Ferrell calls salesman, they started to click. I haven't seen that show in forever.
It's been a while for me too. Yeah. I just remembered. I don't know if I saw that the episode is, and I just remember clips of them. But Patrick, always appreciate you and everybody else. Bob G, thank you for the nice notes, and everybody's been in the comments. If you have been commenting, just watching, we appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll be back next week. We're back at Backwaduct. Yeah, I doubt we're going to do Los Al next week. So either Backwaduct or Churchill. Yeah,
one of the two. Backwaduct PS already has Thursday and Friday out for next week, which is interesting. But hey, just saying. Yeah, we'll figure out the weather too, because the problem with the New York tracks is the weather. So we'll find somewhere that we think we're going to get some turf racing and take it from there. Everybody who's watching, really appreciate it. If you're watching on Twitter, hit the heart button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Help us get out to as many ears as possible. We'd appreciate it. So make sure you like, review, and subscribe on the podcast side as well.
And speaking of podcasts, while you're on the podcast center, check out Mike Somich's new podcast. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we got VSiN at the track that's going. So with me and Aaron Halterman, we talk about the big races. So 4 Kentucky Downs race previews, talk about the Breeders' Cup Classic, the odds that are there, and then dropping Monday morning in your feed, Sharp Money is back. So Patrick Maher and I are going to start a podcast every Monday, or we're going to record Sunday night, so it'll be Monday morning, and then every Thursday morning talking everything inside the sports world, gambling talk over the NFL weekend, over the college football weekend. Thursday's going to have the bets for the following weekend. We'll have some bets on the Monday morning podcast as well, but it should be a lot of fun. Should be a good little 45-minute to an hour drive time style podcast for anyone who's out there and interested in listening. Sharp Money, get it at Apple and Spotify. I almost said Applefy, which would just been not correct.
Applefy. Find it on Applefy. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Chris Kalleward. He's at Somobomb18, number 8. And we'll be back next week with another fantastic show. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is Chloe. We'll see you next time.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.